Discovery is not just down to the account executive unless you want to fail. The SE needs to drive technical and solution delivery and be fully aligned with the AE. If you want to learn more, then just keep watching. My name's Andy Waterhouse. I'm the pre-sales coach. Let's get started. Think about when someone's been selling something to you. Isn't it annoying when they just assume that they know what your problems are and why you're there to buy? You're just a generic customer with a generic problem that they can solve. Or so they think. I've certainly walked out of those situations in the past because I want a solution that solves my problems, not just a generic list of other people's problems. And so any customer journey should always start with discovery, unless you actually start with research about the customer way before you contact them. More about that in a future episode. If you want to get your customer's journey off to a great start, then you need to show them that you care about their challenges and issues. You show that you've experience in solving other customers' similar issues, but you want to understand exactly how the customer's impacted so you can ensure that you meet their expectations and solve their problems. We also need to recognize that discovery needs to be done at multiple levels and with various people within the customer organization. So let's dive into discovery. I've heard many people say that discovery is the responsibility of the account executive. That may be true if you've got a very simple product or service, but it ignores two key issues. Most products are far from simple, including the problems that they solve, and most people don't trust salespeople, so they don't tell the AE everything. There's a link to a video on being a trusted advisor up here that goes into more detail. But we have a challenge here, a customer problem that's more complex than they recognize, and a trust issue that means they're not disclosing key information. This is where the SE steps in, and it's also why discovery is not just the responsibility of the AE. The AE should have determined if the project is real, if a budget exists, and if we're talking to the right people. But this is where the SE can drive an additional layer of discovery to find tech fit and discover the needs of the minimum viable solution. We can rapidly build trust with the customer and really get to the bottom of their issues. Einstein once said, "If I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended upon it, I would use the first 55 minutes determining the proper questions to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes." Now, I'm not suggesting that every SE can solve a customer's problems in an hour, but I think that Einstein knew a thing or two about solving problems, and asking the right questions is a critical part of it. We need to have prepared our list of questions based on the discovery that the AE has already done, but also based on our knowledge of similar customers and also how our solution can help. Great discovery is an iterative process that usually includes multiple meetings with the customer or customers. It cannot just be a rapid-fire list of questions, as that just turns into an interrogation. It should be a bi-directional sharing of information, and a demo or set of demos is often a great way to run SE discovery, as you bring a visual element to the discussion. It's a great example of the need for active listening. You should always be listening for information that contradicts something you previously heard, or that introduces a significant new element. This may force you to review and revalidate information you've already discovered. As I mentioned, it's an iterative process. By the way, if you like this video, then don't forget to hit like and subscribe to keep updated on the new content that we release. One of the primary reasons that sales teams fail to close opportunities is because the customer decided to stick with the status quo. They don't implement a new solution. And let me be clear, this is actually a failure of discovery. They fail to find a compelling reason for the customer to make a change and then be able to build a business case to justify it. So what should we be looking for during discovery? Pain. It could be financial pain, technical pain, business pain. In fact, anything that means the status quo cannot be maintained. The AE will regularly focus their questions on the cost of pain and how that can be mitigated. But we have a valuable part to play here as well. Why? Because we're the trusted advisors. Gathering metrics around the pain is one of the best ways to help the AE. But it also helps you with building out the list of required capabilities, the list of elements that the customer needs as part of the solution. There'll be another video on this topic soon as well, but this list of RCs is the primary goal for your discovery process, and it should tie back to both technical pain and business pain. The other area you should be looking for during discovery is the people. Who are the champions that can help us through the sales cycle, and who are our potential enemies that could support a competitor or the status quo? Again, using our trusted status, we can ask the difficult questions that the AE might not be able to. I've already mentioned that the questions are critical, but it's also about the process of asking the questions so it's not an interrogation. For me, the art of discovery is actually about making the customer feel like we're just having a conversation, and the reality is that every conversation is an opportunity to perform discovery. Like any conversation, we should primarily be using open questions that start with, "Tell me about," or "How are you?" These help you to understand the broader challenges that the customer's facing. As you build your understanding of the situation, you can then use closed questions to get a yes or no answer. For example, is the limit 500 events per day? They give you a clear validation of your information and understanding. As you gain more experience in asking questions, then you can move to two-sided questions. These are questions that are set up so that as the customer thinks about the question and gives their answer, they learn something new or recognize a different angle to the challenge that they're facing. They get a light bulb moment in their mind. These are very powerful questions, but they need to be used with care and precision so you don't confuse the customer. I mentioned earlier that the process should be iterative and that demos can be great tools to use in the discovery process to help the customer visualize the problems and potential solution. However, you should also give the customer time to think and reflect on what you've asked and presented. Discovery is something that should not be rushed, or else you'll miss something important. You should also use discovery for trap setting questions. These are questions that set traps for your competitors and not customers, and should play to the strengths of your solution. They allow you to set up required capabilities that will cause our competitors major challenges as and when it comes to proving their solution in a head-to-head. As I mentioned, there'll be more on this in a future video. So all of this sounds easy, so what's stopping us? For many people, it's purely the fear of asking questions. We don't want to ask a silly question. This is easy to resolve. Do your research and preparation, and until you get really good at it, practice with a colleague. What's the worst that can happen? Be natural in your style, make it a conversation. Take the opportunity to ask questions over a coffee or lunch. Keep listening for new information and take the time to validate any assumptions. And just because you've got a plan for the meeting, pivot if something new comes up. Always be ready for the unexpected. Typically, it takes at least 3 questions to get to the root of a problem. For example, why are you looking to deliver a new mobile app? Because we're trying to reduce customer churn. This is a good answer, but we're just getting started. What's causing customer churn in the current app? The current app is an older technology that doesn't refresh properly on smartphones, so the customer's always on old data. Again, a good answer with a compelling business reason, but there's still more. Why has this become such an issue now? Because the CEO committed to the board that she'd reduce customer churn from 5% to 2% in 18 months by spending $15 million on new technology for customer experience. Wow, now we have a clear understanding of the business driver, so we can get into the needs of the tech refresh. The key piece here was understanding which question should be the next level question. One way to look at this is to ask yourself, so what? When you get the answer to a question. If it leads to another question, then you need to keep going. You know that you've got to the final level when you get to the so what. You'll feel uncomfortable asking lots of questions, and so will the customer, and that's why you need to use a conversational style. Skeptical customers might not want to engage in discovery though. They'll have attended the meeting because they want their questions to be answered, and they may just see your questions as annoying. We've all met this type of meeting attendee, and the way to handle them is to trade for answers by providing knowledge. Make sure that you mix your questions with knowledge bombs about the market, products and services, or what you've seen with other similar customers. That way the person will see that you're being open and willing to share information. You might even change the skeptic into a champion. From a customer relationship perspective, discovery should never actually stop. You should always be looking to make sure that the customer is getting value from your solution, looking for new opportunities and expansion deals. For the current opportunity, you'll tend to find that discovery diminishes over time rather than stops at a given opportunity stage. You may find new information right the way up to delivering a proposal to the customer that requires you to change the proposal, which probably means that you missed something. It's normal to see discovery run through to the solution definition phase and into the business case definition. This is when you'll be challenging all of the data points that you've collected to be able to define and price the solution. If you're struggling to do so, then you've missed some areas of discovery. But even as you get into the proposal stage, there might be a legitimate need for more discovery. I always recommend engaging with the procurement teams early in the sales cycle, but some procurement teams use time pressures as a tool and so delay their involvement. This means that you might have to do more discovery around the implementation needs or other aspects that the procurement team needs to see. Use the So What framework to make sure that you understand what's driving their requirements. When do you really stop asking questions? When you get to the money, the cost of the problem, and how the customer perceives the resolution as a whole. Discovery is never just about the AE, but always about the AE and SE working as a team. It's a powerful method for ensuring customer value and success, but it's also easy to get completely wrong. Just remember to keep asking, so what? If you like this video, then hit like and subscribe to keep updated on the new content that we release. And why not subscribe to our newsletter for updates on what's happening, plus hints and tips about pre-sales. Links are in the video description. And feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below as well. Until the next time, I'm Andy Waterhouse. I'm the pre-sales coach. Thanks for watching.